Now then, people, welcome back to the Just Joe Football Show. Big up to you all, of course. The Premier League is now finished for a month, and we have a month's worth of World Cup action to look forward to, and we're going to be previewing that this evening. We're going to be talking about the winners, Golden Boot, Player of the Tournament, Dark Horses. We're also going to map out our World Cup wall chart kind of thing live, and we'll have a discussion about that. You can get involved in the chat as well. So yeah, World Cup fever is upon us, if you could really say that. It doesn't really feel like a World Cup, really, and we'll have a chat about that as well. Before we do, like the video, subscribe to the channel, get your comments in, and of course hit that notification bell. Make sure you check out the lads' channels as well. We've got Corey, we've got Oscar, and we've got Kev on their respective channels. The links to all their channels are in the description. So let's just check in with everyone first of all. Kev, how are you, my friend?
Oh, good. I don't know what it is with this World Cup. It's like, look, we know why we haven't got the build-up, but every other build-up for a World Cup is always like 20 days after the season's finished. You've just detoxed from the season. You're looking forward to the next season, and then you're looking at the World Cup to see, right, we're going to see who we're linked with, who we're going to be, who we might be signing, kind of thing. You got the build-up games, and you see how you're playing, and you go from that. This time it's like bang, bang, straight in. No messing. 6 weeks, have it. And the only build-up we've got is a Netflix documentary about FIFA. That if anyone hasn't watched it, get and watch it. Get and educate yourselves and watch it. It is a fascinating documentary.
It is. Before I jump to the other panelists on the show, Oscar and Corey, like the furniture, this video is sponsored by the guys at the Final Runner, which I'm going to share on my screen with you now. They have a special running for the Qatar World Cup that obviously kicks off in 1 day, 20 hours and 25 minutes to be precise. The first round is up there. There's currently 29 people involved in the Final Runner. I am actually one of them as well, so I will be making my selection. I'm going to ask the lads for their tip out of this first round of games, which includes Sunday's game, the opener, Qatar versus Ecuador, which, if we believe to be true, Qatar are going to win 1-0. That's apparently what's going around. We'll wait and see. So maybe I just lump for Qatar, but the other games is obviously England, Iran, Senegal, Netherlands, and USA versus Wales. The link to Final Runner is in the description. Like I say, it's a community-based game. You pick your winner, you then move on to the second round, of course, if indeed you do progress. Boys, just looking at it, like who we backing? Because I know some of you are quite dubious about England, Iran, aren't you? So do we go Netherlands? We'll do this as a joint. I'll put the cash in, but if I lose it, you owe me $250. All right. It is £10 to win. Go on. Are we going England?
You have to, don't you?
Yes.
I mean, I don't know what the odds would be if you're looking for a bet.
Is Mane fit for Senegal?
No, he's out. He's out of the tournament.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I'm looking at that Holland one.
Yeah, if I was going to be looking for value in this, Ecuador have to be the value. But the thing is that goes against it. A home nation has never lost the first game of a World Cup ever. But records are there to be broken.
$7 million offered though to Ecuadorian players.
I saw that on Twitter earlier. I was like, yeah. I wouldn't put it past anyone. It wouldn't be a shock, especially for the week that's in it with betting and what have you. But
my only thing is, if I choose England, then I can't choose them again, and they're going to win the World Cup. So I'm going to lose my money, aren't I? You know what I mean? So I think.
What do you guys think of the bottom one? Wales, US. Wales are in US are in terrible form, and Wales have a knack of winning games.
I don't think Wales get out of the group, But we're jumping ahead. We've got loads to discuss. Let's lump on England. We'll go England.
Get off to a flyer. Get off to a flyer.
Yeah, exactly. Against Iran, I've made my selection. Just waiting for that to load now. It's quite quite a long loading process. While that waits to load to make sure that's
you've still got time to go Holland, mate. You've still got time to back the Netherlands.
Definitely, Oscar. We'll come. There we go. We're in for round one. We'll go to round two when we chat about that. Oscar, how are you, mate?
Yeah, good. I can only echo what Kev said. It doesn't really feel like a World Cup. It feels rushed, if anything. The fact you've got 4 games in a day is just insane. It's going to be really difficult to keep track of. So, yeah, it's a really weird one. It's different for a World Cup. But, yeah, I mean, it's like any World Cup. You kind of look forward to it. I think the last couple of international tournaments we've had, if you look at the pure entertainment, I think they've been really, really good. You know, the Euros was phenomenal. You had so many goals in that Euros. The World Cup, last World Cup, I thought in Russia was really good entertainment-wise. And the World Cup in Brazil, 8 years ago. I think we've had some really good international tournaments recently. So I'm hoping this can be the same. But again, it wouldn't surprise me if it's not at the same time. The heat is absolutely intense. I think it's 31 degrees on a bad day. So that's going to play a factor as well. But, it's any World Cup. I'm looking forward to it. But I don't really like... I'm sure we'll go into Qatar hosting it. I don't really like the nature of it, though, to be honest, being totally honest. But I still think you'll see some very good football because you've got so many players who are approaching the final tournament. Messi, Neymar, potentially. You've got some really serious generational players probably playing the final World Cup. So I think they'll definitely be going for it.
Yeah, no, I agree. Corey, how are you doing, brother? Are you happy to be away from West Ham and David Moyes?
Yeah, I can't wait, mate. 6 weeks off, it's lovely. Yeah. It's gonna be 10 times better than what it's been. So I'm gonna try and indulge it a little bit and get into it. And I've been a bit probably, I don't know whether the West Ham thing's rubbed off on me going into England and thinking the worst. But it's like if we win the group, which we should, then all of a sudden you start to go, well, if we get past this test and we get past that, yeah, man, I'm just looking forward to watching something different than West Ham.
Definitely, and if we listen, it won't be everyone's hammering Southgate, but trust me, win a couple of games and everyone will be going, looking back on when we first met, I cannot escape and I cannot forget. Southgate, you're the one. That's what will be happening. I'm already.
The waistcoats will go into overdrive again.
Exactly. This is what I'm saying. I hate the amount of abuse he's getting before we've even kicked a ball. I think it's unfair. Most successful manager since Alf Ramsey. So let's put some respect on Southgate's name. Personally, anyway, that's just my opinion. Before we obviously give our thoughts on the winners, Golden Boot, etc., let's just have a little chat about the World Cup in itself. Kev, I know you've seen the FIFA documentary, and it's best to talk about it. I can't believe the amount of corruption that went on before this. I was oblivious to it. Even the South Africa World Cup, which seems like a better time, there was a lot of corruption involved in that. But if we focus specifically on the Qatar World Cup, they shouldn't even have it, really, should they, mate? If we're being totally honest, the amount of people that have died out there, you've got the issues with the LGBTQ community as well. I've been listening a lot this week to the Guardian Football Weekly, and they've had a lot of LGBTQ people out there in Qatar, obviously not their voices, because they don't want to come forward through fear, and they've had a lot of migrant workers and stuff, and it's a sorry state of affairs that it's over there, really.
It is. I mean, look, probably one of the best journalists I've listened to when it comes to this is Philippe Auclair. And what he doesn't know about this subject isn't worth knowing. And his argument has been, with all of the focus on the LGBT community going out there, when this tournament is over, the reprisals that are going to be handed out on the LGBT community living in Qatar are going to be extreme, especially when the cameras are gone. But rewind the clock back to when they decided to hand out 2 World Cups and double bubble, cash is king. In the hat for that World Cup at the time was Australia, would have been there first. Japan, South Korea were going for it separately.
America as well, weren't they?
They joint hosted, and the USA. Qatar won it.
Was Spain? I think Spain and Portugal might have been as well.
No, because 2018 was always going to be a non-European based bid. The 2018 bid won by Russia. England were probably favourites to win it because they'd hosted Euro 96. They hadn't hosted it since 1966. And they threw everything at the bid. But to be fair, Russia won it. And Russia at least had a pedigree and a history when it comes to football. I mean, they've always, when they were the former Soviet Union, they'd gotten to finals. Their club game was strong at the time. And you could argue that, look, they'd never hosted it. They're a huge country. They had every right to go for it. But when you fast forwarded to 2022, Qatar have absolutely no history whatsoever. They won the bid on a pledge that they were going to be building stadiums that were all indoor arenas. They were all air conditioned. I looked at my phone tonight before I come on, and the temperature in Doha tonight is 28 degrees. Feels like 31 with 78% humidity. That's at 7 o'clock. That's when the last game is going to be kicking off at night. And you can add it to what it's going to be during the day. You've all seen the pictures of the England lads who are seriously fit athletes, sweating buckets, losing body weight like you wouldn't believe, standing in front of ice coolers. This tournament, if you get away from all the human rights stuff and the workers' abuse that happened to build these facilities, the conditions to host an international tournament, even at this time of year, are extreme. And on that basis alone, they had no way they should have won it. This tournament is being hosted with 12 stadiums in a pocket of a country that's about half the size of Yorkshire. All right, and that gives you some perspective. The other thing that worries me, and one thing that we can all look back on, South Africa. What do you remember about the World Cup in South Africa? What's the first thing that pops into your head?
Vuvuzelas for me.
Atmosphere, noise.
Yeah.
I cannot for the life. I don't know anyone who's going. I don't know anyone, any English people that I know who've gone to tournaments in the past. Don't know anyone who's going. I don't know how they're going to generate atmospheres in these games. And that's all before you even start to look at the other stuff. And there's plenty of experts out there who know a hell of a lot more than the four of us combined, who are worth investing an hour or two of your time to listen to the Guardian podcast, listen to Philippe Auclair, listen to their reasoned arguments about what is going on over there before spouting nonsense on Twitter. Because there's sometimes someone needs to hold people. I'm terrible for it. I need to be someone to grab me by the back of my neck and say, yo, hold your horses here. Stop. You don't know enough about a subject to talk about that subject. But I know enough to know that if you can't play football in the summer, I've worked on building sites, for a long time. And working in English heat in the summer is hard going. Yeah. Imagine what it must be like to be working in that heat, building stadiums to a deadline. It's horrific. And they come out with a line, 3 people died.
Bullshit, isn't it?
Pull the other one. Who are you trying to... There's no need to lie. You already got the tournament. They're not going to yank it off you. They've never done it in the past. Tell the truth. Yeah. And the fact that they won't even put a fund together to give the families proper recompense for the fact that they died. Yeah. Every stadium that we're going to watch games in, and we're going to do podcasts where we're going to be doing watch-alongs for these. People died building that for people's entertainment so that Qatar can show off to the world. That's look, go and watch the podcast or the documentary on Netflix. 4 hours. It's not even 4 hours. It's 3.5 hours. And I tell you, once you press play, you won't stop watching it until it's finished.
Yeah, it's great.
Best sports documentary I've seen since Senna.
Yeah, it was. Without a doubt. It's really, really good, and it's quite interesting. You mentioned about them 3 deaths. It's way more than that, of course it is. But like one of the families that they did recompense was actually a white Westerner from England. I don't know what the backstory was of him being out there and stuff, but he was one of the people that actually received some sort of compensation. But again, that's because he's white and from a Western country, and what that would have done in terms of noise, had they have not recompensed this family, would have been absolutely astronomical, and in every single paper and everything. So it's quite interesting, that some of the stuff that I've heard this week, just listening to it all, has been abhorrent, and even just people's reactions, and I know it's going to happen during the World Cup as well, about virtue signaling and all these things that people see it as, and it's way much bigger than that. You know, I got frustrated at a person on Twitter because he was annoyed that apparently England had flown into Qatar in a pride-coloured plane. It was not right anyway. He was wrong, but he was actually getting annoyed at that fact, and I'm like, why are you getting annoyed at that? Like, there are actual people out there, and it's nothing to do with for me anyway, personally. You know, you've got Hugo Lloris on about culture. It's their culture. For me, someone's sexuality is not their culture.
No,
that is not culture.
It boils it back down to people who believe it's a lifestyle choice.
Yes, exactly.
And it's genetic. It's the way you were brought up. Every excuse in the world. Look, Ireland only legalized same-sex marriage 5 years ago. Now, bear in mind, Ireland, a very Catholic, rigidly Catholic, conservative country for years. That vote, when that happened, the build-up to it was as toxic as you'll ever see. But the population voted, I'm off the top of my head, I think it was nearly 2-1. It was about 66-67% voted in favor, which is unheard of in a two-horse race, given the context of the country that we're in. It was refreshing to know that pocket of noise, of loud noise on the internet, in reality is a small portion of what the general public feel about a certain situation. And when Hugo Lloris massively misread this, because if it was roles reversed, say someone coming to England, a Christian country, was told, right, okay, this is a Christian country, you're not allowed to go to mosque anymore. What would be the reaction? It wouldn't happen, because Britain is a tolerant country. And it's open and it's welcoming to everyone. I've lived there for a long time. I know. You know, once you get away from the noise that's online, the vast majority of people that you'll meet in the street are sound people. You get a couple of wankers, but you're going to get that in every walk of life.
Yeah.
But the problem is, for someone like Hugo Lloris to say, well, it's do in Rome, do as the Romans do. Mate, if you can't be yourself and be true to yourself for 6 weeks, maybe you're just looking for a paycheck off being sports on the back of it. Who knows? I don't know. But
and isn't it?
He misread that badly.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that's come from Macron, isn't it? The French, you know, the president of France, and actually in that World Cup documentary as well, it's quite interesting how you know, the PSG links and lots of other trade deals that were done on the back of Qatar getting the World Cup, and France was one of the benefactors of that. So,
massively so.
Yeah, isn't it interesting now? Macron's getting involved and saying to Lloris, don't you'll be upsetting the apple cart. When really it takes strong individuals really to stand up and say, you know, this is wrong. This is wrong. You shouldn't be accosted and for your sexuality. It's mad. Look, what are we? Where, you know, there's just 100 people. People might get frustrated, but I just ask you, like, it's all about raising awareness and
absolutely. We all got a platform, and I mean, I've been asked, we're going to do a few watch-alongs on the channels. The first time we were ever going to do it, and we're just going to do a few. And people said, "You really going to watch this?" I said, "Look, I'm not going to shut up. You know, watch it, and you'll see. I won't be quiet. You know, and anyone who comes on, and the same with your channel. You've never once said to me, Kev, come on the channel, but don't talk about X, Y, and Z. Never once. You wouldn't, and we won't. And anyone who's got a voice and got a platform and is privileged enough to be able to speak about a subject that you care about, speak about it. You know, that's where I stand with it.
Yeah, definitely. Christopher Junction says thoughts on David Beckham. That's brutal as well, mate. It's absolutely diabolical that he, especially when you consider he was involved in our World Cup bid. You know, he was one of the shining lights in it. I know it was the Russian one, but still he was there when that got read out. The fact that he's taken whatever pay he has. I was listening to something the other day, and there was a Dr. Nasir something. I forget his last name. I do apologise, but basically he's an ex-Qatari lives now in America, a gay man. His family have disowned him and stuff. And David Beckham actually went to the lengths of blocking him on Instagram because obviously he was clearly making a point about, the fact that he's, promoting this World Cup for money, basically. And those might say, well, don't watch it then, or don't, do the stuff on your channel. But it is all about raising awareness of it. I think to just switch off from it would be the wrong thing to do, because all that would happen if the world's media said we're not going to go, all you would get is propaganda from the Qataris saying it was the best World Cup ever. That's all you'd see. You need people out there who are going to be able to show what's really going on. We've seen, I think he might have been Danish or Swedish, the reporter, and they came over to him and tried to smash his camera. This is a World Cup. So, and that's when a World Cup's happening. So imagine when there's not a World Cup, what's really going on. Exactly. So I think that's important to remember. Corey, Oscar, don't feel like you have to, but do you have anything to add? It's okay. I know me and Kev have just been rabbiting on there.
Totally agree. Totally agree with everything Kev said. I think corruption's a genuine, real concern during the tournament. I think the fact that we've already had this story about Qatar and Ecuador, and the thing is with Qatar now is that even if they do well, there'll be suspicions thinking that, did they really win that game? No matter what, unless Qatar lose every single game, there will be suspicions if they get a point. Because let's be honest, you look at Qatar's squad, it's not great. For me, I think a large part of Qatar going for the World Cup was just to play in a World Cup as well. I think that was a big thing, so I don't think they're ever going to qualify for one. But yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting in that respect too. I think that's something that definitely needs to be spoken about. I don't know if anyone remembers when Korea and Japan had the World Cup. There was a lot of suspicion with the Korean national team at the time. Again, I'm not saying whether it didn't happen, but if you look,
they scored one of their goals. It was about 3 foot offside.
Yeah,
to get to the semi-final, wasn't it?
Italy and Spain, I think it was, Kev. They beat in the knockout rounds, and there's both. I think one was on the golden goal, one was on penalty shootout, but both situations very suspicious, and got very nasty. And could that happen again? Who knows? I hope not. I really do hope not. And I'd love to see Qatar get absolutely battered in every single game. Absolutely battered in every single game. I'd love nothing more than that. Just to embarrass, the people that were insistent on this World Cup. And I've got no problems. I think the World Cup should be hosted in every single continent. I think every single continent should get a chance to host the World Cup. But Kev's listed it out there. It's not just the political reasons and the whole corruption side of them getting the tournament. It's the fact that the place itself, the fact in the summer, you can't play the World Cup in the summer. It was impossible. Suggests to me that they probably shouldn't have been able to bid for the thing in the first place. That's my personal opinion. I don't think just because a country wants to host the World Cup, we should have to move everything to let them host it. I think that's a simple fact. You wouldn't get England trying to host the Winter Olympics, would you? You know what I mean? I think it's a similar situation, for me personally. But again, I've got no problem with different countries hosting the tournaments. I think some of the best tournaments have been when different countries have hosted them. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But I'd love nothing more than see the winners in particular. How great would it be, whoever does win this World Cup, if they make a real political statement, when they go to receive that trophy? How great would that be? If they, how it would be absolutely brilliant to see, whoever wins it, or, because there's nothing they can do about that. That's a real, what a fantastic way, the whole picture of the tournament of the team who wins it, and then you're making some kind of political statement like that. It'd be great to see, but yeah, it just leaves a real bad taste, really. We're going into a World Cup. We really shouldn't be having a conversation like this, but we need to have conversations like this because, some of the voices, the likes of David Beckham, the likes of Gary Neville, actually. I think Gary Neville needs a lot of criticism as well, and we're quite glad that he ended up on Have I Got News For You? I don't know if anyone saw that, where he got absolutely roasted to pieces. And it needs to say, because these are people who I've got no problem with David Beckham, Gary Neville, by the way, despite them being ex-Man United players. But I do have a big problem with the fact that, all of a sudden they've been saying all these things about how great their values are and all this lot, and they're making their own documentaries like the Salford one and how great they are and all this lot, and then all of a sudden, the opportunity arises to cover the World Cup and they're taking it with both hands, really. And it needs saying, because these are supposedly the people who are giving you a voice and that lot, but they can't even be bothered. Even they, whether they like it or not, they are supporting what is it's a sham, really, if we're being totally honest.
No, definitely. I feel bad saying like let's move on to the football, but that's what we're here to talk about. And Corey, we'll start with you then, mate. We're going to talk about the winners, like early before we map out, and we'll have our discussion about it. Like, who are your early pick for the World Cup, mate?
I'll go Brazil. I think I've got a really strong team. I know it's a little bit of an easy pick, isn't it, really? I know people look at it and it's got Neymar and obviously Lucas Piquet, which I'll be excited to watch in the cup. But I think it's got really good forward options. I think there's a lot of depth there. Well, yeah, look, I mean, we won't talk about the last 2 weeks, but he's a good player. There's a lot of depth in there, and I'll be excited to see there. I think people have brought up France as well, and I think for that experience that they've had last time out and some of the quality that they've got, I think they'll be there, but for me, I feel like Brazil. And there's one thing that people haven't spoke about quite a lot is the climate. Oh, actually, to be fair, about the climate, people sweating buckets, but how these teams are going to adapt to it, and ultimately, can certain teams play at a certain intensity? And I don't know how much that's going to affect it, but I assume that players that are used to that climate or have grown up in that climate or even playing it now, it will help them massively. So I think possibly could have a little bit of an advantage, but we'll see. I'm just talking purely on quality, and maybe it'll be different, but that is a factor to consider.
I think so, mate. Today was really the first time I thought about it. When I seen them in front of them, like ice water fans, whatever they are.
It's mad.
So yeah, listen, everyone keeps hammering me for my shirt, man. It's a nice little lumberjack number, man. What you talking about? It's a nice little number, this. Get off my back.
Winter is here.
Exactly, winter is coming.
Winter is here.
Oscar, before you tell me your winner's thoughts on the jacket, do you like it?
Yeah, it's good. I'm delighted that you went to be first on the fashion store. To be fair, no, it's all right. That I don't know what people's problems are. Listen, mate. Whenever I go on all these TV and I have a slightly different fashion choice, I get hammered for it. Whether it's good, bad, it's always give your grandmother's jacket back, or never wear that hat again, burn that hat, and all this lot. I'm used to it, mate. I take it as a positive, even though it probably isn't a positive, but it's a positive. People are just jealous, man.
I know,
man. Jealous.
Yeah. True, man. Talk to me about your winners.
Who I think is going to win it?
Yes,
Brazil. Yeah, I thought Brazil for quite a while, to be honest. I think the fact Neymar, the form he's in for club, more than anything going into this tournament. The fact you obviously got Raf on the other side, Vinicius as well, Gabriel Jesus, who might not even start at this tournament as an option off the bench. Then you're looking at likes of Bruno Guimaraes. The squad just feels so balanced. They're a little bit weak at fullback. That is the one weakness they have, but I think everywhere else they're really strong. I think the fact you've got Alisson as well, who's just phenomenal. He is the best keeper in the world for me. They've got a lot of things going for in Brazil. The climate as well, I think, is totally going to suit Brazil a lot more than the likes of England, Holland, etc., etc. I know it's a sweeping statement, maybe, but it does feel like that. Feel like that to me as well. I think they'll have a lot of the ball. So, when you're making these teams against you, chase the ball a lot, they're going to get more tired. I think Brazil can just keep that ball all day long and cause a lot of havoc with it. So I'll say Brazil. I have felt Brazil for quite a while, to be honest, and even more so having seen the draw. I think it looks okay for them, to be honest. It doesn't look that scary. I think other teams like Argentina, etc., have got tougher routes to the final, but it depends. Listen, it's very hard to say. I know we're going to go through that as well, but it depends on who tops groups in that lot. In the end, you might even get a Brazil-Argentina final, but one of them, I think, has got to finish second in the group or something like that. So I think Brazil, to be honest, I think Brazil have got a pretty decent run.
I think you'll get a Brazil-Argentina semi. I don't know if we'll
get that. And that's actually what I've got to actually.
Yeah. That's my thinking, is that them two will meet in the semi. I think Argentina will beat them. And I think, look, I am being very, very positive. I do think England might get to the final. Shoot me. It is what it is. You know what I'm like.
The better side of the draw. If England can win the group, they have low-key got the better side of the draw. No doubt about it.
For sure. But I think someone told me earlier, and I don't know if there's any truth in this, but someone told me on the way home from uni today that it could be Messi's 1000th game if they got into the final. I don't know if there's any truth in that. It sounds maybe not by your vacant expressions. I'm going to Google it. Like 1000th game. I'm going to Google it first, but Kev, I should have checked this before I did.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm torn between two. I think Argentina have got a really well-balanced squad. They've got an awful lot of attacking threat. Their midfield is good, and for once they're going in with a back four and a keeper who are better than average. But Spain, no one's talking about Spain. They're in a tough group because they got Germany in the group with them. But if you've got a midfield three of Rodri with Gavi on one side and Pedri on the other side, you got Ansu Fati up front with Ferran Torres. You've got Llorente, can't get a game. I've got a sneaky suspicion, and like what Oscar was saying, if you want a side who can keep the ball and make the opposition work, there ain't many better out there than the Spain. I think it could, of the European sides, I think they're probably best placed, and a lot of this side would have played in the Olympics together as well, and they're used to each other. They're used to their style of play. The manager's been there a while. Nothing has really changed. They're just evolving slowly but surely, and they've got a nice blend of youth and experience. But for once, there's no dominant side. There is absolutely no dominant side. Every side you look at has a flaw somewhere. There isn't one 11 that you look at or one squad you look at and you think, okay, you're complete. It just isn't there. So it's just going to be a case of who can handle the occasions the best. But to me, it's wide open, this World Cup. Anything could happen. And that's the beauty of it, really. That's
Spain. Totally agree on Spain.
I've just checked. Lionel Messi it's his 1000th career match at the World Cup, but it doesn't actually happen in the final. So that's where it's actually, if they get to the quarter final, that will be his 1000th career.
What if they drop him?
Match. Imagine. Well, drop him till he gets in the final. But my mate was telling me this on the bus, and he said the final. And I said England might get there, and the article is about him facing England in his 1000th career match in the quarters, depending on how the group drops. So I guess that's where he's got confused. But I did think, wow, Messi 1000th career game in the final, like it's written, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? But obviously, he's going to get to his 1000th game anyway. But I think Argentina might do it. I do think they might do it, and with the whole hysteria around Ronaldo at the minute, how sweet would it be for Messi for him to go on and win the World Cup while he's having this absolute nightmare? And then he could probably just go, there you go, that's it. Yeah. Now there's no discussion at all, kind of thing. So maybe. In terms of Golden Boot, then, with that in mind, I am going to say Mr. Messi for me personally. Just because if they were to win it, they will go all the way, and I expect him to score a few goals. Obviously, there'll be other shouts in there that people will go for, and you might get one of them surprise packages. But for me, considering I think Argentina might win it, I will go for Messi. It sounds like I'll probably go for Messi for the lot by the sounds of it. But Oscar, we'll go to you, brother.
Who do you reckon I'm going for, Joe?
Messi.
Oh, aye. Messi. It's got to be Messi. Come on, it's got to be Messi, surely. Golden Boot, written in the stars. I mean, I'm not as confident as you. I don't want to jinx it. That's probably the main thing with me in terms of Messi. I'd rather personally Argentina. If England can't win it, I'd much rather Argentina won it than probably anyone else, just for that exact reason. The fact that, let's be honest, Marcelo Bielsa will be happy. Messi will be confirmed as the GOAT. There's a lot of plus points to that if England can't win it, but yeah, Messi. I just think Argentina attacking in an attacking sense, it's all going to go through Messi. And they haven't really, outside of Lautaro Martinez, they haven't really got a natural goal scorer unless they do start playing Alvarez. He might be another little shout, Julian Alvarez maybe. But I think they'll stick with Lautaro Martinez. So, and he's going to be more of a false nine than a out and out centre forward. So I've got to go Messi.
Yeah, Corey.
Yeah, Yeah, go Messi. In my head, I thought Neymar, but I think Neymar's playing. I think he's playing in a 3-man midfield, to be honest, at the minute. So I'm not sure he's going to get the goals that I think he will. But Messi sounds like a pretty decent shout. Maybe Mbappe, possibly. Depending on maybe. Benzema's a brilliant shout, by the way. Whoever put that up, right? And he's another one that I'm excited to see because I think if they can go far, how good he's been.
There's question marks over Benzema's fitness, though, as well, right? This is the thing with France. I think there's a few, obviously, no Pogba, no Kante. I think they might be, don't quote me on it, might be wrong. We'll wait and see. Dr. Shaggy says, never write off Ronaldo. I think this could be the downfall of Portugal, mate, to be honest. I've got that in my waters, I think. Kev, what are your thoughts on the Golden Boot winner, mate?
Golden Boot, Harold Kane.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Oh, don't worry. They're still going out in the quarters. I'm convinced of that. But 7 goals will win the Golden Boot. And you look at who England play in their first 3 games, and he's England's only real goal-scoring threat. And he will take the penalties. He will be a danger from set pieces. He'll lead the line. And I think if you're looking at it, someone who's going to get you goals, it's going to be him, because he's guaranteed to be picked. He's guaranteed to play 90 minutes unless England are winning 3 games 3 and 4-0. I just think it's he's got pedigree. He's proven he's shown he can do it, and he's got that selfish streak in him where if he's anywhere near within sniffing distance of it, he'll go for it just off his own back. But I wouldn't be a bit surprised if he bags 6-7 goals in this tournament.
I think that's a great.
Going on a stat padding session. Padding session from Harry Kane.
Why not? Look at the group.
Yeah.
In all fairness, look at the group. It's the softest group you could pick. The FIFA World Rankings are irrelevant. You know, you'll get this people who will say, "Yeah, look at the group. Everyone's in the top 20." But come on, you know, let's get a bit realistic here. If you were handpicking a group, that would be the one you'd handpick. You know, it's probably I think there's one of 2 of the softest groups that you're going to get. The question mark is, if we get into it in a minute, who would England get in the round of 16?
Yeah,
comes out of Group A, and it all depends on what you think will happen between Ecuador and Senegal. Senegal without Sadio Mane.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I'm just looking there at the odds on each group, and apart from Argentina's group with Mexico and Poland 150-1, Saudi Arabia 750-1, but we've got Wales, USA are actually, more favourites than what Wales are to win it. Obviously, they're not. Iran's 500-1. You're right. I mean, we have a very favourable group, even just looking at the odds alone.
Group of death is just off the top of my head, is either the one Spain are in with Germany and Japan, or the one the Portugal one looks quite nasty. Uruguay and Ghana in there.
Yeah.
Let's get to that group when we map it out. But before, I feel like I'm repeating.
I'll be 1 minute.
Yeah, no worries. Do what you need to do, brother. I'm going to let someone else go first, actually, with player of the tournament, so that I'm not just repeating myself. We'll go to Corey first. Thoughts, mate? Do you not want me to come to you? Go talk.
Go on. Give us a couple of seconds, mate. Sorry.
I mean, I did text you earlier on.
No.
He's not read the itinerary. He's not read the itinerary, the lad.
He never gets WhatsApp. He's got
I'll turn up every week. Give me that.
Yeah, sorry. My bad.
You should also say, Corey, that you had an hour's less preparation because Joe's going off dancing later on. Player of the tournament?
Yes.
On the basis that I think they'll win it, Neymar. For me, it's either Neymar or Messi, depending on who wins it. I think they're the 2 best players in the world at this moment in time on current form. And they're the 2 most likely to carry the teams all the way. And I just think Neymar, it's just something about Neymar for Brazil. I think if we're going for stats here, I think he's 2 off Pele's Brazil goal records. 2 off, and he's only 30, and he's not even a striker. So this sums up how much Neymar turns up for Brazil. And the only time he hasn't quite got Brazil over the line is in the World Cup. And I just feel like it feels like Neymar's time. I think he's matured a lot as a player. He's got a good supporting cast this time. Rafinha, Vinicius, Gabriel Jesus, there's so many players in that lot. But I just think Neymar for me in this one.
just on that as well, I was quite. I guess I shouldn't be surprised, but when you consider I know he's massively underrated, Olivier Giroud, but when you compare his level to Thierry Henry, Giroud's actually only 2 goals away from the France record as well. All-time leading goal scorer for France. And I was listening to, again, I think it was Philippe Auclair, who Kev was talking about, and he was saying he's actually. I'm just going to mute Kev. He's opening boxes. I think his takeaways come at it. Oh, fair. But Philippe Auclair was saying like people in France would actually be fuming if Giroud ended up being their highest ever goal scorer, which is mad. And I guess to take it off someone like Henry is a little bit like he is underrated, but still. Henry, Giroud, it would be mad. Maybe he gets it in this tournament. I think he's massively underrated, but I think it's wild that French people will be annoyed by that, but they are a little bit, I don't know, pretentious.
Well, I think Giroud's always been that player, though, isn't he? Like everyone's always disliked him.
It's right, though.
It was when you were just delayed. It's how much you delay them for. They're a bit pretentious.
Yeah, I didn't know what to say, bro. I was like, don't get yourself in
I agree.
Go on, Corey.
What? About Giroud or my player?
Giroud, sorry, you were saying about Giroud.
Oh yeah, no, I was just saying he's always been that player that people have really disliked. And he's always, he's cumbersome, he's this, he's that, he doesn't score enough goals, he's not clinical. But if you actually look at his career, he's scored a fair whack of goals for some top sides. He's won a fair amount as well, which is fair to be said. He's a lot better player. His overall play is a lot better. And I think he's just one of them players that he's more of a soundboard for someone better alongside him. And I think that's why he's obviously been picked, because you bring an Mbappe in there, even a Benzema to a degree if he's fit, you can work off Olivier Giroud. So I've always thought he's massively underrated. I know people pull up that season where Ozil should have had about 25, 30 assists and he's missed some absolute sitters, but I still think over the course of 8-9 years he's been class.
Yeah, no, he has. Would he be your player of the tournament then, Corey?
No, I don't even think. I think he'll have about 15 minutes if he's lucky. I think Neymar's the obvious shout, and I think a lot of play will go through Neymar. I'll be interested to see Vinicius actually, just because of a big game player, a player that's grown at Real Madrid, and I think it'd be interesting to see. I appreciate international football is a little bit slower, but that change of pace and that dynamism, and obviously how he's improved in front of goal, I think there's a lot to be said about that. So I'll pluck for Vinicius just to be a little bit different.
Yeah, a little bit out of the box. I feel like I can't go out of the box. I am going to have to go for Messi again, which is bad. But I can't see past him really. If he was to get the Golden Boot and to win the World Cup, I think it'd be hard press not to give it him. Yeah, I mean maybe Mbappe. But then again, I don't fancy France at all in this.
Not any English players, no. Don't fancy any.
Harry Maguire. 7 clean sheets on the route to the final.
Actually, I've got to tell you a story here, right? I've got to tell you a story. I was going to share it yesterday, and I totally forgot by the evening, and I thought it's not worth it now. But basically, I go to the barbershop around the corner, right? And a lot of them are like Kurdish, some Turkish, different ethnicities, and they were talking in their own language, and I was a little bit uncomfortable because I was the only one in the shop, and there was 3 of them, and I thought I'm gonna have to get involved here. So I went, ready for World Cup, lads? And then we got talking about the World Cup, right? And then they started talking in their own language again, but were saying like France, Germany, and I thought, I'd give them a fucking conversation starter, and now they've gone off in their own language and not involving me again. I was fuming. So anyway, I'm fuming in my head, and then he went to me, "What do you remember?" And I went, "I don't know what you've been on about." But they were on about Germany, Brazil, 7-1. Anyway, the lads, 2 of them go out, and he's just him cutting the hair. So then we get chatting, and he says, "I don't watch normal football. I only watch, the major tournaments, the Euros, etc." And I was like, yeah. And he went, I watched the final. He went, number 3, number 6, your best players, right? And I was like, mate, I don't know my memory. I don't know numbers. So I pulled his phone out, and it was Luke Shaw and Harry Maguire. And then he went, number 9, the captain? I went, yeah, Harry Kane, good. He went, number 6, better. Number 6 is best player. It was Harry Maguire. And I was like, I shouldn't have even started this conversation, man, way back when. But I just thought it was funny. I was like, clearly just watched that last game and seen Luke Shaw score the goal and gone, yeah, he's their best player, you know what I mean, kind of thing. But it was, yeah, I thought it was a funny anecdote. Maybe it wasn't, but it was.
No, mate. No, it tickled us all.
Yeah, good, right.
It's
okay.
all right.
Yeah.
It's all right.
I'm glad you enjoyed that. Kev, give us your player of the tournament, mate.
Player of the tournament. I wouldn't disagree. I think it's more than likely would be someone like Messi or Neymar. I think those kind of things are just whoever's the star boy at the time type of thing. Yeah. But the most effective players of the tournament, Olivier Giroud is one for France. He's a great foil for any of the forwards that they've got playing. And Nkunku will be a miss. You know, he's going to be a big miss. They're going to depend a lot now on Giroud and Mbappe. Dembele staying fit, you know. But in that group, don't be a bit surprised if Denmark turn them over. Denmark are a very, very solid side. They're going to be hard to beat. Really experienced back four, a proper midfield as well. If you got like Højbjerg with Eriksen, I think the other centre midfielder would be the kid at Brentford.
Jensen.
No, starts with N.
Oh.
No, not Damsgaard. They play with 2 holding midfielders, and he's
Jensen, no?
Norgard.
Norgard, yeah.
Right, okay.
And you give Eriksen a free role in that side. They've got a really good record against France as well. France are...
They beat them 2-0 in the thing, didn't they?
Yeah. On paper, France look unreal. But for some reason, I look at the fact that they took Rabiot when they had absolutely no need to take that nut job. Mbappe is just as selfish as they come. And they've just got that potential along with Portugal to implode. Remember, like, people used to say it for years about the Dutch, the Netherlands. Great on paper with the likes of Davids and Seedorf and what have you. And you put them in a tournament setting when they're away with each other, they'll implode. Yeah. I think Portugal have got that in them. And I definitely think France have got that in them.
Yeah, and, you know, we're going to move on to dark horses now. And Denmark were my shout, Kev, to be honest. I assume they're yours as well, Kev?
Uruguay.
Oh,
Uruguay. You've got the experience of Cavani and Suarez will be their last tournament, but you've got the youth of Darwin Núñez. You've got Val.
Who's that?
It's just some scrub we picked up on from somewhere in
He's
Portugal.
Now on FIFA. It's still driving me insane. I don't know why. All of a sudden,
Lengthy is gone, man. Lengthy is gone now.
Darwin Núñez's hair's disappeared. He's now bald on FIFA. It's mad. Go on,
but you got him, you got Valverde as well in the middle of the park. They've got a really well-rounded squad, and they're going to be another one kind of hard to beat, unpredictable. They'll be good. Denmark could be another one. The Dutch. The Dutch.
Do you think because of their unsuccessfulness, we have to class them as a dark horse, or would you?
I think you have to, because you go back to when they were successful, it was 74, 78, the likes of Cruyff and Johnny Rep and what have you. Then you look through what they had in the 90s. I mean, the Milan side was built on the back of the Dutch of the 88 Euros. 2010, they went to I think they got to a semi-final. Or they got to a final in 2010.
Final. It's when they
final in
decided
2010
to beat Spain up in the final. Decided to basically just beat up every single Spain. I don't know why they decided to do that.
And a semi-final in but they haven't qualified for a tournament since 2014.
Wow.
And you look at it, I think you've got to have they'll play a back five. You got like Cody Gakpo up front now playing ahead of Memphis Depay.
Depay as well.
Yeah, but Gakpo will be playing ahead of him. He'll start ahead of Depay. You've got De Jong, De Ligt, Van Dijk.
Noah Lang as well, I think, is going, maybe.
Denzel Dumfries, I think, would be one of those horrible nightmare type of wing backs to play against as well.
He'll be going in the fantasy team, Kev. Will Dumfries, to be fair.
I think he's definitely one for goals, assists, clean sheets. Their only weakness really is a goalkeeper. You know, goalkeeper, probably the guy at Ajax, I think, maybe. He looks like he's about 47. He looks like my age.
Remco Pasveer, is it?
Pasveer, yeah. And he's having a good season, to be fair. But yeah, there's 2 or 3 countries you look at and you go, I go out of my way to watch them. You know, I go out of my way to watch. I want to see what Suarez and Darwin Núñez could cook up together. I just want to see what they pair of mad yokes could do together. Like, it'd be great and crack all together to see them.
Absolute Liverpool winning the World Cup like West Ham did back in the day. Is that what we're saying?
Past and present. I'll build my past and present Liverpool side.
I'm still sticking Denmark. I think they're a great shout. Already have a dark horse or someone you may go maybe not go far and do all right.
No, Kev brought up about Spain. I think Oscar said exactly the same. I think as a team, I was quite impressed with them in the Euros, and I know they had a few hairy moments, but I think Luis Enrique is a top manager, and I think that midfield and the way that they play and the way that it can control games is obviously a massive factor. So I think they could do something. The only thing that I would argue with them is they'd lack that number 9, but they lacked it in the Euros and they were still able to perform. So I don't think that's going to deter them too much. But yeah, I can't wait to see what they do out there in terms of Enrique, that team off the ball pressing. That'll be interesting for me. And I think we're seeing a little bit more of that now of international teams or club managers transitioning into international football, bringing some of these ideas that we haven't seen before. So I'd like to see that tempo. So I think they'll do all right.
Yeah, great show. Oscar, I seen you nodding with the Denmark one. Have you got something up your sleeve?
Yeah, I have actually, because I think Denmark are that good right now. I've got to go someone else because I think Denmark, I'd be surprised if they don't get pretty far. I'd be stunned if they don't get through the group. I think, as Kev's already said, they were that good at the Euros, you're thinking, and they've been that good since. I think they won every game in qualifying, beating France, beating them home and away, I think. They are gonna go places this time around. Spain, I think, get all the way to the final. Potentially, I think at least semi-final. I think with Spain, I think Enrique, again, people know my thoughts on Luis Enrique. I think he's the best coach at this tournament by quite a distance. Some slight concerns about them in terms of firepower, but I think if Ansu Fati is anywhere near at it, it's automatically loads better than what they were working with at the Euros. And the likes of Pedri,
Morata, bro.
Morata.
Will they not have him in the 9? Like, they played him in the...
Well, I think they'll probably put Ansu Fati left, Morata 9, Torres off the right, I think. But it'll interchange quite a lot, I think. Yeah. And Spain have never really played with a natural out-and-out centre-forward. It's be interesting to see how Spain go about it. But my ultimate dark horse, there's 2 that come into my head. But I'm going to go Serbia overall. I really fancy Serbia going to this tournament. I think the front line... The fact you got Vlahovic and Mitrovic up front together, they can play up top together as well. They've shown it in qualifying. They do play a 2 up top system. Milinkovic-Savic as well, I think, is really, really a top player. He's one of the more underrated players in Europe, certainly in Serie A. Defensively, they look solid as well. And I think results-wise, I think they've been doing really well. And I think they've been knocking on the door for a while, Serbia. But I think this might be their tournament where they get to a quarter-final potentially. If they've got a decent run as well. I think a lot of it I look at is the run they've got, up to, a quarter final on that lot, and it looks all right for them, even if they don't win the group. Ghana is actually the other one. I just think Portugal. I don't know if we're going to talk about flops of the tournament, but I can see Portugal completely imploding because there's no way they're not going to play Ronaldo. They will play Ronaldo. You've got Bruno Fernandes and Ronaldo who aren't talking to each other. You've got Bernardo Silva and Bernardo. I think have always had a little bit of friction there between those two. I just feel with Portugal, they won't play on the front foot either. They'll sit back, and the likes of Uruguay have got the quality to hurt them. And I won't honestly. I'm not sure they will get through the group, but I think Ghana can actually genuinely push Portugal quite a bit. They've got a couple of players in, like Tariq Lamptey, Iñaki Williams as well, from Bilbao. There's some really. Almost like 2 new signings, really. So I think Ghana have got a real little chance. But I'll go for Serbia overall. They are the ones that I don't think anyone's kind of talking about at this moment in time. I think they'll have a good tournament and they'll get past Switzerland. I think it is in their group. I fancy Serbia to go quite far.
Yeah. Well, thank you, boys, for that. What we're going to do now is jump on FootMob's World Cup predictor. And this will give us an opportunity maybe to talk about certain individual teams and touch on England a little bit as well, instead of just focusing primarily on England. So what we need to do, each group, is put them in numerical order of how we or who we believe will progress. So looking at it, Group A, I'll put what I think, and then you can tell me if you believe there's going to be some sort of switch at all. But that's what I would believe would happen even without Mane. I think Senegal will have enough to get past an Ecuador and Qatar. Are we all in agreement there?
No, I think Ecuador come out of that.
Do you?
Yeah, because the Senegal are dependent on Ismail Assar to get their goals without Sadio Mane. And JUSTJOE, who used to be at Bristol City, is going to be their number 9. I look at Ecuador, and you've got Hincapié at the back. You've got Moses Caicedo in midfield.
Estepinian as well. Estepinian.
They qualified really well in South America. It wasn't like they scraped through. They're very young, very raw, and I don't think they'll play this with any fear. I think Senegal peaked at AFCON, and a lot of those players have played an awful lot of football. That would just be my reasoning for it. That's the way if there's going to be a shock in a group, I think that's the one.
Is this the shock after they've paid everyone else?
I don't think the pockets are that deep.
Holland, I think, will absolutely rip that group to pieces.
Yeah.
I think Holland, as Kev said, I think they will probably be one of the best footballing sides in the tournament.
You could even have someone like a Depay or a Gakpo end up getting the golden boot.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The only reason I go Senegal over Ecuador is the fact that Ecuador, I agree with what Kev said about how they got through the group, but their away records, they've got a massive home advantage because of the altitude in that kind of sense. So that's a massive equaliser in terms of in the qualifying for Ecuador. Their away form, I think I read today, I think they've won 1 game away from home in the last 4 years. And I think Qatar, that's the only reason I go for. I do agree with Kev in terms of Senegal are very reliant on 2 players, but I think if they do get Mane fit at all for any of those games,
he's out. He's out for the whole tournament.
Is he totally?
Yeah, he's totally
fair
out.
enough. Fair enough.
Totally out.
Totally out. Yeah.
Wow.
Unfortunately, I wish he wasn't.
So
fighting for the kid.
Yeah, I'm happy to go Ecuador then.
Yeah, with the loss of Mane, we'll go Ecuador then. Group B, call me ambitious, but England should win that group.
Yeah.
I think USA will actually come ahead of Wales, and I think it will look like that. Maybe that's my home bias for England, and maybe not. Being things, Steve Brown, regular viewer of mine, says Group B, Wales will get out of the group. Do we agree? Am I being harsh? Will they get past USA?
Very tight.
US are in no kind of form. They're in horrendous form. But Wales are solely dependent on keeping Gareth Bale fit.
Yeah.
And he's had a good MLS finish to his season. And you look at the other guy, where is he at? Bournemouth, the big guy. What's his name? His name always escapes me. But he'll give centre backs an absolute nightmare. And Wales will play with wing backs, so you wouldn't know. But on paper, you'd have to go with the US. On paper, you'd have to go with the US.
Steve,
Tyler Adams tax. It's got to be Tyler Adams tax.
And listen, it's how good Brendan Aronson is. He might not even start in that American side with the likes of Rayner and.
I think he will. I think
looking at a lot of what Americans are saying, I think Weston McKennie, the guy Rayner, I'm not sure he starts, but maybe I'm wrong.
I just think, look at Aronson and Adams is pressing in those conditions, having an extra little bit of, look at the Wales midfield. I think Wales have got better quality, to be honest. I think Wales have probably got better balance, but I just think that extra energy, the way USA seem to play as well, high pressing, I think it might catch a couple of teams out where they can't quite match that intensity. And they're the team that probably worry me the most for England, is the fact that Tyler Adams playing against our midfield. And, it's going to be quite an interesting one. But it'll be tight. If Bale turns up for Wales and is anywhere near at his best, Wales probably get through. But I just think USA.
I'm sorry, Steve. I'm sorry, Steve. We're going to have to go with USA. I do feel like I've let you down there, brother, but I've got to back Aronson and Adams. Group C, Argentina. I think it's a toss-up between these two for second and Saudi Arabia for the group. Who are we going for, Corey? Mexico or Poland in second? It's a flip of coin.
Mexico.
I
I wish I could give some more insight, but I genuinely don't.
No, yeah. I think them two is it's just a flip of the coin. We'll leave that as it is. Group D, then. I think this one's quite interesting. I could see Denmark topping that group, if I'm being totally honest. I'm not quite sure on France's. I don't know. I'm expecting another implosion. There've a few key players out. Kante, obviously Pogba's not going as well, and them two light up for France every time. I think there's question marks over Benzema, but of course, when you've got Mbappe, I mean, he's elite and Griezmann, etc. So, who tops the group, folks? Because I think it's between these two. We've both say, right?
I still think France. I think Denmark and France will play out a really good game, but I think that'll be a draw. And I think on goal difference, I think France probably are more likely to cook Australia and Tunisia than Denmark. I think that you look at Australia against Benzema and Mbappe, I just think France's goal difference might just be a little bit too much. But I think Denmark have got to beat France to top the group. And I just think France in a tournament setting, I just fancy France. Yeah, I think France do take the handbrake off in qualifying from time to time. I think before that World Cup, the last World Cup they won, a couple of times in the group where they thought, they don't look anything special at all. All of a sudden, they just turn it on. Yeah, I think France, they are a little bit like that. I think they do tend to step up in the big moments, and I just think they grip top it.
Okay. I think Denmark as well have a great record over France as well. It dates quite back, I think, if I remember hearing that right. But I'm happy to go with that. Look, France 7-1 to win the whole thing. Happy for them to top that. This is another interesting one. Who tops it for you? Germany, Spain? I assume, we're not looking at any outsiders there, are we? Costa Rica or Japan?
I think Spain probably top it, but Germany and Japan will be interesting. Germany should come second.
Yeah.
Japan third. Japan will be there. They'll play well. Look forward to watching the left winger. Is it Mitomo at Brighton?
Brighton, yeah.
Yeah, he looks a right tasty player. And for all of the doom and gloom coming out of Germany about their squad, they'll miss Timo Werner, but it's actually a really good squad. They're definitely a bit at the top of the who needs them club. You don't want to be playing Germany in a tournament. I don't care about their very recent record. You got the likes of Joshua Kimmich and Gundogan in midfield.
I think Muller's gone as well, hasn't he? Yeah,
Muller's going, yeah.
Musiala's the one.
Musiala's a special talent.
He is just phenomenal. He could easily be a young player of the tournament. I actually genuinely think Germany top that group. I think Spain will take a little bit of time to get going. And when they do get going, I think they will. But Japan, don't totally rule out Japan, though. Don't totally rule them out. But I do think Germany or Spain, probably a toss of a coin, really.
Are we happy to leave as is? Spain, Germany? Yeah. Group F then. Belgium, it's quite interesting. They had that golden generation and they just never really did they? I think I still think it's Vertonghen at the back, maybe. And
it is.
Yeah, it's
Dunker and Alderweireld.
Yeah. What we're saying, do Croatia or Belgium top this one, or either of them? Do we see Canada pulling?
Croatia,
I would say.
I think the only reason I say it is the heat. I just think we've got a Modric in midfield who can keep the ball ticking over and just make the other teams do the work, kind of thing. I know obviously Modric 37, 38, but I just think in that heat you don't really want to be chasing the ball, and I just think Croatia can make teams do it better than most. But again, toss of a coin, really. If KDB turns up, Belgium, it could easily top that group.
Yeah. That Croatian team, man, Brozovic, Perisic, Modric, they're all still going, aren't they, man? They've been around years, man.
What's Lukaku going to be like as well? Lukaku, we talk about Vertonghen and that lot, but Lukaku's form the last 18 months, probably since the last Euros, he's going to have to be their number 9. Hazard as well. you're relying on a lot of players rolling back the years, really. Hazard, Vertonghen, Lukaku.
Yeah.
Belgium might be one to really flop, potentially.
Yeah, potentially.
But they haven't lost a qualifier since 2009, Belgium. But we got a guy.
Really, did they?
Yeah, that's why they're keeping their rankings so high. It's just when it comes to qualifying, they're really, really good.
Yeah,
it's just they've never clicked in a tournament. But we got a guy from Canada on our pod, and Matt. Canada have only ever been to World Cup once, and it was '86. And all Matt wants is a goal. He don't care about anything else. He just wants to see Canada scoring a goal.
Nice.
Got the likes of
Morocco.
Yeah, I was going to say Morocco have got a half decent side with likes of Hakimi and Boufal as well. They're a decent side.
Ziyech.
Yeah, that could be one of those groups. That could be a tighter group than a lot of people think.
Wabi Kazri as well. Don't forget Wabi Kazri.
Yeah.
The boyo. Group G then. Brazil, Cameroon, Serbia, Switzerland. Now, Oscar, I know you said these were the dark horses, but when I was doing this earlier, I actually had Switzerland ahead of them because I think Switzerland are such a hard team to play against in on the international stage. But I'm happy to concede.
Listen, the form Xhaka's in at this moment in time. You look at him in that midfield, but there's something about Serbia. I don't know. I'm happy to go whatever you guys think.
Serbia's cool. There were your outside pick.
I think it's going to be very tight, that group. Cameroon, I know Samuel Eto'o thinks they win the whole tournament, to be fair. He saw his predictions. What?
Did you see him map it out? He had Qatar.
Oh, he does it every tournament. Samuel Eto'o, he does that every tournament.
He had Qatar beating England in the next round. I was like, what's he watching? He's a mad guy. Happy with that group? Brazil, Serbia, Switzerland, Cameroon?
Yeah.
Yeah? Cool.
Yeah, I'd be going that way.
Yeah, and then last group then. Difficult one.
Portugal bottom.
Mate, I think you could see that though.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
I think Portugal could definitely go. I know it sounds a bit mad.
This is the group of death, 100%, because you can make a case for all of them. You can. But Ghana could be that one African side that could really do something this time. African sides have been threatening to do something at a tournament for a long time. With the likes of Tariq Lamptey, Inaki Williams coming into an already good squad, the likes of Thomas Partey, they're there as well. I still think Uruguay will come out of the group. I definitely think Portugal implode.
Yeah, I do as well. I do.
I still back him to just about sneak it, about maybe shit it out, because I think there's a couple of players who might just step up. But I think Uruguay will win the group. I think Uruguay, look at it, the form some of them players are in. But I don't know. I'm happy to go with what you guys think. I just think Portugal might just sneak it.
What we're saying, I think they implode and don't get through. Is anyone?
It's one of those you couldn't argue either way.
Let's be exciting. Let's be exciting and go Ghana.
Let's go Ghana. Right, next round then. This is where it gets interesting. So we've got Netherlands versus the USA. Netherlands, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Argentina, Denmark.
Yeah, Argentina.
Spain, Belgium.
I reckon that's a tasty game, but Argentina.
Yeah.
Spain beat Belgium. Spain beat Belgium. They'll run them off the park.
Brazil, Ghana. I think Brazil. England, Ecuador. Get up, England!
Penalties. England win on penalties. They spent the 90 minutes chasing Moises Caicedo. Can't get the ball off Moises Caicedo. England, just.
France, Mexico.
France.
I didn't even have France. Yeah. I had them second. Yeah. So this would be interesting. Mine's going to be totally different to this, but we're doing it together. Oh, we've got one more. Two more. Sorry. Croatia, Germany.
Germany.
Difficult though, right? Or do we think it's Uruguay, Serbia?
I didn't have that before, I don't think.
I look at the Uruguay centre backs, Godin and the guy at Barcelona. What's his name?
Kunde.
Araujo.
No, Araujo.
Kunde. What am I on
And I
about?
think the Serbian forwards could get after him. I'd nearly say Serbia beat Uruguay in that.
Serbia, yeah?
I go with Serbia.
I'm just thinking about. I don't know, you know.
That would be a cracking
Let's
game.
go
What about your boy Darwin, man? What about your boy
I
Darwin?
want him home. I'm going to have his fun, but I want him home.
I didn't have this before when it says Serbia in the quarters, but you know what? I'd actually back Uruguay in that. I think Uruguay are the masters of shithousing. I just think Araujo, set piece, clean sheet, 1-0, job done kind of thing. It feels to me on that one.
Let's go Uruguay then. Next round, then Netherlands, Argentina. A beauty.
Oh, what a game!
Holland will dominate the game, but Messi, moment of magic, Argentina.
Yeah.
See, this is totally different to I did it, and this has thrown up more tasty ties. This is beautiful. Look at them games there. Wow. Look at them games, man. That would be unbelievable. So we're going to go Argentina. This one, Spain, Brazil. Do we go South America again?
Brazil.
Yeah.
Just got too much, I think.
Cool. I'm backing my boys. I don't even think France get through to this stage, so I've got to back my boys, lads. What are we saying?
What I'll say about that game is, I think tactically, I don't think it's going to be great between Southgate and Deschamps. I think it's down to the player quality. I just look at Benzema and Mbappe, how often they've stepped up in these kind of games, these massive games.
We've got Harry Kane, Raheem Sterling.
But have they ever
Harry Maguire,
like
Tom Stones?
Have they ever stepped up like Mbappe and Benzema? They haven't for me. And they're as good as Mbappe and Benzema. I'd go France, but I'm happy to go England.
I think we dominate the midfield, man. Calvin, Rice, maybe even Bellingham in there.
Camavinga, Tchouameni.
Oh, fuck them, man.
Mate, you could have said Zidane then. Honestly, you could have said Zidane instead. Fuck him.
No, fair. But they're still in their infancy. I think we'll be all right. I don't know. But
I agree, but I'm still going France.
When you say their names, I'd rather them two though over Pogba and Kante, just for the experience that they have. What you're saying? I mean, in a couple of years, not Tchouameni and Camavinga, of course, that's unreal. But what we're saying?
I still think they're up there, to be honest, mate.
Yeah.
It's gonna be. It's still look. It's tough. It's tough, and it's like one of them cliches in the last midfield battle. But like Rice, Bellingham, and Tchouameni, Camavinga is a serious fight.
Yeah,
I think we are going to have to.
Forget Calvin, bro. Don't forget Calvin, man.
I don't forget Calvin. Don't worry about it. We were talking about it the other week. I was worried he'd even get on the plane. He's been that knackered. But I think them two for the legs, definitely. Look, I can see us edging that one. I just feel like we've got a little.
We've got to back them.
I'm with you.
Germany, Uruguay. I think Germany.
Yeah.
Cool. We're getting to the exciting stages now. Oh, imagine! Look at that.
No, that's the final. The top one's the final for me, basically.
Argentina, Brazil. Then I feel like we might have a split here. I'm going Argentina because
Brazil.
Argentina.
Corey?
Brazil.
I'd love Argentina to do it though. I genuinely would love, but I think Brazil.
While we discuss Germany, England, I'm going to put a quick poll on here for people to tell us who will progress versus Argentina v Brazil. We'll just put Messi or Neymar. Make your selection, folks. Yeah, I'm asking the community.
You've got to remember though, you've got Raf, Julian Alvarez. If he started, I think Julian Alvarez might be playing games for Argentina by then, which will. I think it's I think he's such a good player. And then you got obviously defensively as well. I think both teams. I think that's the final for me. Both them two.
That's a pick. It's a pick 'em. It really is.
Yeah,
you can make strong cases for both.
Let the
chat decide.
Yeah, let the chat decide. We'll go back to that after we've discussed England versus Germany. Again, I'm going to back my boys after what we did against them in the Euros. England beat Germany for me. I would argue I'm more confident that we would beat Germany than I would over France. Do you know what I mean? So if I say we're beating France, we're beating Germany.
Germany, though, I think I've said about Enrique being the best coach. I think Hansi Flick, you've got to look at his record at Bayern. The fact he's won the Champions League with Bayern pretty recently. The fact I think Germany, they've kind of got rid of the old guard, really. The older players, the likes of Kroos and that, who weren't really performing for Germany. And then obviously Musiala's come in, Sane's playing really well, Canabry. They've got some nice options there, Germany. I just think I'd go Germany, to be honest. I think Gundogan. How did you get the ball off? How did you get the ball off Kimmich and Gundogan?
Same way we did in the Euros, bro.
Different team, though.
No, man, you're not.
Joachim Low compared to Hansi Flick is such a massive upgrade. Such a massive upgrade, man. I'd love to be wrong, but I don't.
The way England play that is on the counter, because if Germany with the likes of Mats Hummels, as good as Mats Hummels is at reading a game, but if you've got Slotterback and Mats Hummels as your centre backs, with the pace that England have in a Raheem Sterling or Saka or a Rashford or anyone like that, they'll get chances. I don't fancy England beating France 1 second, but if they get through France, you'd strongly fancy them to beat Germany.
Yeah. Listen, this isn't just for shits and giggles either, Marco. I did this on my own earlier, and I had us getting through to the final and losing to Argentina. I think people are putting too much. This squad is a good squad, right? It's a good.
Oh, it's better than Germany's.
Yeah.
We have doubt about it. By the way,
and you cannot undervalue experience. This team now has experience of getting to the latter stages. If they don't win it or get close to, it'll be another long time, I think. I think we see this with teams, cycles. I know Spain won it all, Germany. I genuinely believe England are coming to the tip of that cycle. I'm not saying we'll win the whole thing, but people saying we won't get out of the group, people saying that we'll get knocked out in the round of 16 is codswallop. Clip it up. Yeah. We will go far. Go on, Corey.
I concede that having seen this route, I can understand. I can get my head around that being the case. If we were playing teams like Brazil, Argentina, Spain, even the Netherlands to a degree, there are certain concerns I'd have in those. But I think we could edge those games. I don't think it's.
Exactly.
But I think you're right in terms of experience. I think it's just the tactical element of it, because I think England as a squad have got a very strong team, but it's just whether. Like Oscar was saying about Hansi Flick, who I think was class with Bayern Munich. If he gets a number on Southgate, then maybe we'll find some issues. But I don't think it's inconceivable. Maybe I'm kind of a bit mad and I've just seen this and I think,
no, you're not, bro. You're not. If you look at the Southgate haters, like Steve, when he says it's a good squad if you're English, I disagree, bro. I have sampled a lot of World Cup content, and there are people who are not English who say this is a good squad, man. Let's not forget you've got Harry Kane, Bukayo Saka, Phil Foden, Jack Grealish, James Maddison, Calvin Phillips, Declan Rice, Jude Bellingham. Them players would get in the majority of sides in Europe. You're being very, very negative towards them. You've then got off the bench someone like Callum Wilson, other players that have gone. I think people are just because of Southgate, because it's England, we're rubbish. That squad is good. Yes, there are frailties, but I would argue even in the fullback areas where a lot of these nations are struggling, England are strong. Are strong.
There's no doubt about that. But the only thing I'd say is I don't think they win it.
It's centre back where we're
centre back.
I got that one wrong with Germany, by the way. Mats Hummels isn't in their squad, but you got Ginter, Thomas Kehrer, Klosterman, Raum, Rudiger, Slotterbeck, Nicolas Sula. We haven't even talked about Adeyemi, Brandt, Gnabry, Goretzka. Goetze is going. Gundogan, Havertz, Hoffman, Kimmich. Mukoko is an absolute baller if he gets any game time. Muller, Sané. They're a serious side. You've got Manuel Neuer and goal.
I think defensively and goalkeeper are potential weaknesses for England. I know Pickford's always turned up for England in tournaments, but
you can't say that about Pickford on the international stage, man.
Yeah, but form-wise, look at his form going into it. Look at his form, man.
Maguire is the boy. Honestly, you will see.
You will see. All right. Calm down, man.
Do you think Southgate plays a back five?
Yeah.
Yes.
Defend first. Let me just say as well, Bully.
No, I agree with you.
This football. I don't enjoy this football one. I'm not saying that, but I know it's enough to get us into the latter stages.
Yeah. I just look at Argentina and Brazil. You've got Messi and Neymar there who just win a game on their own.
We're playing Germany. We're playing Germany, bro.
Yeah, but are we talking about winning the thing? Or are we talking about...
We haven't got there yet, bud, have we? We haven't got there yet.
I still think Germany would beat England.
No, I'm not having it. I'm pulling right.
It'd be tight. It would be tight, but I just think, okay.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's
get absolutely battered in the final, though.
55% have gone for Messi. So 55% of people that have voted have said that Argentina will progress. So it's how I predicted earlier on in my own. It is, of course, Argentina versus England in the final.
You're not having this one, Joe. It's Argentina.
No, I'm not. I conceded it.
You're not having this one.
No, I conceded it myself when I did it myself. I conceded it, but I had us playing Denmark instead of France, but the rest was the same. So I don't think France topped the group, but I think I've said myself. I think it's Messi's time probably.
Yeah, look, Argentina have got a serious side. They genuinely. I was just having a quick look there before. No one said a word about Leandro Paredes, Enzo Fernandez, Papu Gomez. Joaquin Carrera. They've got a serious side. They really do.
Mate, I was in Lisbon September, and they were already talking about Enzo Fernandez as generational then. They were like, whenever I was talking to anyone about football, it was like Enzo Fernandez. He'd play like 5 games from at that point, and they were saying he's the next Xavi. He is one.
He's unreal.
He's unreal.
I just want to quickly address this. I don't know if you're aware. But in the Euros we got to the final, and in the last World Cup we got to the semi-final. So why is it so outlandish? People have short memories. I don't get it. Why is it outlandish?
Look, England are a horrible side to watch. There's no getting away from it. They are, but they're effective. They are effective. If they get this back five right, and if they can get it right, where their wing backs are true wing backs, where they bomb on. And if you can get Trent on one side and Trippier on the other side, and you can create real width, playing with 3 in the middle with Rice and whoever, but let Bellingham have a free role.
Ben White won't play. We say this, but Southgate won't play Ben White. I totally agree with you, but it won't happen. You'll still go with like the tried and trusted for me.
Yeah.
Do you not think he'll? So, do you not think he will go Ben White on the right of the free and Walker at right wing back?
No.
Trippier.
No, never in a million years.
You don't think?
Trippier right wing back and Walker in the back
on
three.
The right of the 3. And then at left wing back, Shaw?
Shaw, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you not envisage Trippier going out at left wing back and
I think he could play Trippier maybe at left back if for whatever reason Shaw's playing a back 4. But I don't.
If he plays a back 4, yeah.
Okay.
If he plays a back 5, he needs you need a natural wide player.
Shaw's a good ball carrier. He's got great
okay.
If you play back 5, you could even get away with Trent defensively. You'd just be asking Trent to focus on attacking and have a Ben White or.
There's no.
It won't happen.
No, Southgate hasn't got the imagination to play Trent. He just hasn't. He hasn't got the balls or the imagination to play someone like Trent and Bellingham in the same side. I wish he did, but he doesn't. So
you look at Arsenal. You've got Ben White, right? You've got Ben White on one side and Ramsdale in goal. You see how well Arsenal build the ball out the back and that lot. I just think you have to go with that. I think you have to go with Ben White, Tracker have got such a good understanding on that side as well. Why not try Ben White on the right of the back 3, allow him to overlap a little bit, like he did for Leeds when he played in that system. combining with Saka, because it will be Saka on the right hand side. I'd be surprised if Saka's not starting.
But this is the other problem that the managers have. There's no warm up games. You can't try anything. It's literally like the season's just finished, stopped, and your first game is Monday. And it's not just at Monday. It's England are kicking off at 1 o'clock, isn't it? So 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock Monday.
Yeah.
It's going to be pushing 40 degrees Celsius. The real feel that day is going to be around 40 degrees. And to be fair, if you're going to pick an 11 to just go and win a game, that's all you have to do. Just go and win a game. You play a back five, you play a 3 in midfield, and you play a keep ball. You just keep the ball and let the ball do the work, win the game, and rest while you're on the ball.
Do you see him playing Calvin Rice and Bellingham as a 3?
No.
I would
eventually, but not at the start.
So them as a 3 and then and then 2. No.
I played Rice holding with say Mason Mount on one side, or Maddison, or Grealish, or Foden, and Bellingham as the other central mid. And you play 2 up front. Play Kane and Sterling, or Kane plus 1. It doesn't matter who it is, because you need Kane plus someone with pace. That's all you need. It's not a hard game.
Go on,
it really isn't.
I would go if he's fit. And there's certain games it will work for, and agreed, like a Mason in the 8 may work, but Calvin as a 6 and Declan Bellingham maybe as number 8 would be really interesting. I think there's a lot of flexibility in that. You can work hard. Calvin can sit on his own, which is really, really important. Forge to play a back 4. I wouldn't mind that if that's what you wanted to do.
So I agree.
I think if Calvin is fit enough, we might see him go to a back 4 and have that as a midfield 3. Especially in the groups.
If England want to be a hard-working team off the ball, a pressing team at this tournament, that is the exact midfield 3 I think you have to go with. You've got Phillips sitting. I don't think Declan Rice. I don't know if Corey will agree with me on this. I think Declan Rice is better where he's not played. I think you play Declan Rice as a 6. I think you really limit Declan Rice's quality. I think Declan Rice should play ahead of Phillips.
Yeah. Bellingham
being the more advanced of the 3. And I just think that's the way you go about it. If England to win this tournament and you just rely on Foden, Saka, Kane to win us a tournament, that's the way. If I was, saying how I'd want to go about it.
Sterling, no warning. He'll play Sterling.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Sterling steps up for England to be fair, but I still, for me, you have to find a way to get Phil Foden in that team. He feels like the one who can produce something out of nothing is probably most likely to be Phil Foden, maybe Saka, but. England just have to decide what they want to be. Do they want to be a team that just sits in and just shithouses it? Or do they want to be a team that tries to play a bit more on the front foot, press high up the pitch, and maybe play a little bit more expansively? They can't go halfway in between the two. It has to be one or the other for me.
In the groups, he goes with 4, with that 3-man midfield and whoever and Kane up top. And then in the latter stages, he will revert to that back 5. I think that's what will happen.
Do you think I don't think Calvin's actually got it in him, to be honest, to play that long. It's a great idea. I just don't think he's not got the fitness to do it. Like, he may be.
No, you got 5 subs though, so
true.
You've got that option as well.
Calvin's such an interesting one, because when we played, I think it was Germany, and he come off injured. He gave us that balance that we lacked a little bit, and that's something that it goes. That's the thing with Calvin Phillips. He goes massively under the radar. People talk about his passing, and Oscar and Joe, you'll know probably better than me, but it's his actual understanding when he plays that 6 just gives us that license. I just think that if you can play him, you play him. And then Joe, like you said a number of times about if you get to the knockouts, Calvin might start over Bellingham, and that might well happen just because of the experience. Not because I agree with it. I think Bellingham is now at that level where he can start over Calvin, but I wouldn't write Calvin off. I just worry about his legs. I'm just not sure what he's got.
You got to manage his minutes all the way through the group stages. Really, just drip him into the group, drip him into the side.
Yeah, if you can get him through the group and get him to the knockouts, then that's the way to do it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you can get away with possibly maybe dropping Calvin for a game and just giving him a rest, because if you drop him for a game, he gets a whole week's rest then. But the media, if England put out a midfield 3, which I think there's a big chance England might put a midfield 3 out like that to start off with, the media will whinge and moan and say, how can't you have Mason Mount playing, James Maddison, all this lot? No, just chill out a little bit. That midfield will keep the ball for you. In the heat, it's going to be absolutely massive, as Kev said. That's really going to be important. Ball retention is going to be massive in this tournament, and that gives you a bit
I think
of that.
Gareth, in a way, is by taking Maddison, has quietened any sort of kickback from the media. And I don't think Mark Maddison's going to play a huge part, and he's not trained for the last 2 days. So that also helps him a little bit as well. I know it's mad because we'd like him to play, and you don't want a player injured, but that sort of stems that question. James Maddison would have become or can become the Jack Grealish of the Euros. If you remember, everyone was just going, Grealish, 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 Grealish. I think Maddison would become that baby. But I don't think he's trained the last 2. Obviously, he picked a knock up for Leicester in the last one. But that's our final prediction on football. I've shared that on Twitter. I'm ready to get absolutely battered because England are in the final, because that's what Twitter will do. England in the final, you mad?
That's right. Twitter will be gone by Monday anyway. Don't worry about it.
yeah. But that's
the thing is, though,
what we've gone for.
We don't know how good anyone is until you see that first game, because it's in that heat. The fact that there's not been much preparation time, there's no friendlies to really judge anything off either. It's been that long since anyone sort of played. I think a lot of it will be from that first game where you'll be able to tell how good teams are. Like Serbia, who I've kind of picked out as dark horses, they might be absolutely awful for all we know. They could be absolutely diabolical, and it might be Switzerland all the way or something. But it's gonna be interesting.
It will.
But I don't think England gets to the final, to be honest. I think we've been very kind there.
I'm willing to die on that hill, man, and I can't wait till it happens and I can just rub it all in your faces, man. But listen, I want to thank everyone for sticking with us. We have done an hour and a half. I know it was a long show. I know not everyone loves international football, but listen, I'm going to be doing it on the channel. Hopefully we'll have the lads back at some point as well. Make sure you go over to... Darren B says you're wrong about Southgate, Joe. The most successful England manager since Sir Alf Ramsey is Sam Allardyce. He had a 100% win record. That's very, very true, man.
And he won't ever shut up about it.
You can't argue with stats.
You can't, mate. No, exactly. Make sure you check out Oscar at All Leeds TV. Obviously, Kev over at the LFC Day Trippers and Corey over on his channel as well. The links to their channels are in the description. I'm going to be back on Sunday for that opening game. For Qatar versus Ecuador. That's going to be a good watch. I will do as many as the games as possible unless I'm working or at uni, so I've got a lot on. But make sure you subscribe and that. And thanks for tuning in on this Friday evening. I'm going to go stick my dancing shoes on now and bust some moves. So with that in mind, we will see you in a bit.